بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Mahmoud, go have them sit all the way to the right. Jazakallah khair. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسوله وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا مزيدا إلى يوم الدين. أما بعد. One of the courses you get out of fasting is not only depriving yourself from the stomach and private part desires that we all know about it, but also you gotta work on other prohibitions, especially matters that pertain to the tongue. One of the biggest courses in the University of Ramadan is training yourself to refrain from lying, oppression, backbiting, all those tongue ailments. In particular, many ailments, but those tongue ailments. And we're going to go quickly over this issue. The Prophet ﷺ said, ليس الصيام من الطعام والشراب إنما الصيام من اللغو والرفث. In Mustadrak al-Hakim, Abu Huraira said, the Prophet ﷺ said, fasting is not just abstaining from food and drink. Rather, fasting is abstaining from idle and foul and vain and obscene speech. That's all included in fasting. You all know the hadith. If someone curses you or treats you in an improper manner or ignorant or foolish manner, you say, Allah, inni sa'im, inni sa'im. And let me say a side issue on this. The hadith in Bukhari, it mentions it twice in one hadith, inni sa'im, I'm fasting. Most people, when they say it, you hear it, Allahumma inni sa'im. They change the statement into a dua, which is not part of a hadith. So it's better to stick to the appropriate wording of the hadith, which is inni sa'im, not Allahumma inni sa'im. There's other hadith pertaining to this matter. من لم يدع قول الزور والعمل به فليس لله حاجة في أن يدع طعامه وشرابه. In Sahih Bukhari, whoever doesn't abandon falsehood in word and in action, then Allah the Almighty has no need for him to leave his food and his drink. In another hadith, in Sunan al-Nasa'i, in Ibn Majah, in Al-Hakim, the Prophet said, perhaps a fasting person gets nothing out of his fast but hunger. And actually in another narration, only in Ibn Majah, it says, a fasting person attains nothing out of his fast but hunger and thirst. There's some people, all they get out of their fast is hunger and thirst. That's all they get. All these hadith and the list goes on, many more. Someone will say, all right, you've said all these hadith, you mentioned all these hadith, so if I curse someone, if I go backbite someone, if I lie, if I'm in a setting of backbiting and I talk, you know how you get dragged into those conversations. So I've negated my fast, I might as well go eat and drink. Some believe that, and some really do that. What we say, and we always reiterate, you don't understand these hadith like you want to understand them, or like I want to understand them. We understand them like they were meant to be understood. The ulama mentioned and talked about this, and actually the Hanabila, the Shafi'i, actually everyone I read for, except from the old generation, except the Zahiriyya. And the Zahiriyya are those who take the text and understand them in such an extreme apparent way. They're too literal in their understanding. So they said, what one breaks and voids is not the fast the reward. Meaning he'll lose the reward if he does any of these things. Depending on what he does, he gets sins. And to top that off, not only does he get sins, but he loses the reward for his worship. In fact, according to whatever it is he did, Imam Ahmed ibn Hanbal in his Furu' said, if gossip and backbiting were to break fast, none of us would have a fast. So evil saying, lying, backbiting, gossip, that's all prohibited throughout the year. Why is it emphasized more so in Ramadan when one is fasting? Because you're doing something contrary to the wisdom and purpose of the worship you're engaged in. You're in a pure worship. You're trying to purify yourself. You're doing something that defeats the purpose. Because in Ramadan, like we always say, the deeds are multiple folds. All right? We reiterate that all the time, but that comes at a cost. Sins are multiple folds as well. Because on an ordinary day for gossip and backbiting, you get sins for that. In Ramadan, it's deeper. You get more sins for that because of the holy days. And then not only that, but you get stripped of the reward of that hard work you're doing, the qiyam and salah and ibadah. Do you understand why? Now someone says, I lied, I ruined my fast, I'm not getting reward out of it. Might as well eat and drink. Then what happened is you got the sins, for whatever you did. You lost the reward of the ibadah, and now you want to top that off by a super major sin, avoiding your actual fast. The point of these ahadith is to recruit you, to tell you you got a lot of deeds and a lot of hard work you're going to lose if you continue to do this type of sin. You got a lot at stake. This is a boot camp to straighten me and you up, to straighten us up for the rest of the year and then for the rest of our lives. Some of the Salaf said the easiest part of fasting is leaving your food and your water. Wallahi, that's true. The beauty of fasting is it's a worship that continues on throughout the day. From pre-dawn until sunset. It's a continuous ibadah, meaning you get reward even while you're sleeping. It's an ongoing ibadah. Until you backbite someone. Then the ibadah stops. Meaning the reward stops. Jabir said, if you fast, let your hearing fast. Let your tongue fast from lying. Let your limbs fast. Don't harm neighbors. Everything's got to fast. False speech in these hadith that we mentioned includes all kind of speech. Lying, backbiting. Each one of these is a topic to talk about for many halaqat. Slandering, insulting, cursing, false testimony, accusing believers. All that. Everything wrong that the tongue does is foolish. Talk. Even yelling. Even yelling shouldn't be something done in Ramadan. The tongue is a small muscle, but a deeply dangerous one. That's why the Prophet ﷺ told us that one of the major matters that causes people entry to Jahannam is that tongue. Tongue is a killer. It's a ruiner and a destroyer. It could be a word that you say that attains the wrath of Allah and puts one 70 years into hell. One word. May Allah save you from that. And it could be that muscle that you use, that you utter one word in it, that makes you among the most successful. Umar said, I walked in on Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiallahu anhu one time while he was holding his tongue. He had his tongue in his hand. He's saying, this destroyed me. My tongue destroyed me. Abu Bakr? What are you talking about, Abu Bakr? Your tongue destroyed you? How did your tongue destroy you? The tongue that has done nothing but exert all its efforts in support of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You, Abu Bakr, you say your tongue destroyed you when you're going to be called by every single one of the 8 gates of Jannah? The man, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, smiled to his leadership in salah on the morning that he sallallahu alaihi wasallam died in. The best man after the prophets, radiyallahu an, but they used to hold themselves accountable on a high standard. Don't get the perception that slander and backbiting is only by tongues and lips. It could be by a wink, by a gesture. It only gets worse on Twitter and Facebook and internet forums. Does that count? Oh yeah, that counts. That does count. But I was disguised behind the screen name. Nobody knew. Alam ya'lam bi anna Allah yara? Alam ya'lam bi anna Allah yara? Haven't you read the Quran? Doesn't he know that Allah sees? يومئذ تعرضون لا تخفى منكم خافية. It's going to be a day when you shall be exposed to view. يومئذ تعرضون لا تخفى منكم خافية. On the day that you shall be exposed to view, no secrets. Now you can keep it a secret. No secret of yours will remain hidden on that day. ستكتب شهادتهم ويسألون. The testimony will be recorded. They will be questioned. There's no difference between tongue and gesture and slander and Twitter and all that. You'll be held accountable for. Ramadan came to let this awareness and fear of Allah surface in our hearts. Try it from now. It's not late. Yes, there's some days left in Ramadan, but it's never too late. Try it from now until the end of Ramadan and see. Every night when you go, before you go to sleep, do the checks and balances on your activities, on the activities of your tongue for that day. If you lied, if you mocked, if you slandered, if you cursed, if you backbit someone, if you said derogatory words, set aside $5, $20, whatever you can do, set it aside for each time you made a mistake. After a week or by the end of Ramadan, you'll see it, you washed your tongue out. You washed your tongue out. If you continue from now until the end of Ramadan with that method, you will continue bi-idhnillah ta'ala for the rest of your life. You'll see a difference in yourself. We're not expecting you to be an angel. But when you stumble, you jump up with a repentance, with a tawbah, and continue on the right path. This is to instill in you, Ramadan, God consciousness, taqwa, mindfulness of Allah, piety, that's taqwa. A strong imanic immune system that you fear Allah in every word you say. That's taqwa. I want you to imagine if someone knows his boss or his co-worker told them the boss installed some secret cameras, or the government, a lot of people know that the government has their cars and phones and houses tapped and they got cameras by their house. A lot of people know that. So they're watching their every exact word. He never forgets that. Does he ever forget there's a wiretap or that his boss installed a hidden camera? He never forgets that. He never forgets that. He's always on alert and he knows it. It's in his subconsciousness that he knows. How do we forget رقيب عتيد? ما يلفظ من قول إلا لديه رقيب عتيد. Not a word that one utters, except there's a watcher by him to record it. رقيب عتيد. Every word, every portion of a word is registered. Don't say like some people say, what I talked about him, I got it off my chest. No. Keep it in your chest. Keeping it in your chest, whatever you want to say, is better than having it on your registry before Allah on the judgment day. We Muslims have different ways of thinking. Ibn Mas'ud said, I don't know anything more worthy of a long prison sentence than my tongue. That's the only thing I know that is worthy of going to prison. One time Umar in Sulh al-Hudaybiyah, he said a few words that he deemed were out of line. The words, he was attempting to convince the Prophet ﷺ to change his mind so he can fight Quraysh. The Prophet was in order at that time to fight Quraysh. Umar said something, he wanted to change the Prophet ﷺ's mind. The purpose Umar was saying it, he wanted to die for the sake of Allah. He deemed it inappropriate. Later on, years and years, he said, as he got older, he said, after that, I did so much deeds in repentance and I still do, ask Allah to forgive me from that which I said.